What is your favorite, very creepy fact? I saw a news story on a woman with a rare type of epilepsy that causes her to see everything like a slideshow or a video game that gets 10 FPS. She described watching cars drive by and saying they freeze in place for a moment and then snap into position further down the road over and over. Her entire life is played out in front of her eyes in still frames, and because of that she wears blinders or earmuffs because her senses are constantly contradicting one another and it overwhelms her. I can't imagine how horrifying it would be to experience life like she does. Imagining lagging eye roll 24/7. Sounds painful. I hope the afterlife is a thing so these people can experience seeing everything at average human FPS. Most suicides are committed in spring. Your eye has approximately the same proteins as an egg white, and both react similarly to hydrochloric acid, which solidifies the usually liquid substances. Actually, they taste pretty good on toast. Indian followers of the Zoroastrianism don't bury or burn their dead. Instead, they leave the bodies in special towers, exposed to the elements to be eaten by vultures. Unfortunately, the vultures are now endangered, leaving the bodies to slowly rot. Well, I learned about 20 comments ago that bodies rot 8x faster in open air than in the ground, so the slowly part is debatable. What is my life right now? The US has never made a Purple Heart since the 40s because they mass-produced them in case of a ground invasion of Japan. Cotard's delusion is a rare psychiatric condition, severe cases of which cause the sufferer to wholeheartedly believe they are dead, putrefying, or simply do not exist. Some Cotard's patients refuse to eat, as they do not believe they need to, with one notable patient dying of starvation. Another woman once asked to be taken to a morgue, to be with the other dead people. I literally have a neighbor that has this and I never knew what it was called. She constantly explains how she is dead, has no pulse, and how her husband denies her from being buried or sent to the morgue. She sincerely believes she is dead even if proved otherwise. When a person is electrocuted in the electric chair, they feel everything. They are fully aware of their bodies being fried as it happens in real time. One inmate who survived the first round of electrocution said it tasted like cold peanut butter. Not good if you're allergic to nuts. The children's story of the Pied Piper of Hamelin was based on a real event. Hamelin town records start with this event. The earliest written record is from the Town Chronicles in an entry from 1384 which states, "It is 100 years since our children left. No one know what or who took the children, but there's records of the entire town's children being taken." I actually did some research into this. Historians believe the children were not taken as in kidnapped. No mysterious man grabbed all the children and took off. Instead, an illness probably spread which mostly impacted children, who have a weaker immune system and are not as strong. The illness probably killed most, if not all, of the children. Scaphism, the worst way of execution I've ever heard of. The word comes from Greek which stands for hollowed out. The victim is trapped between two boats, fed and covered with milk and honey, which then attracts all kinds of insects and vermin that fester and devours you over a couple of days. There was a man from France, named Terror, 1772 to 1798, who couldn't stop eating. By the time he was 17, his parents kicked him out. He was eating his own body weight in food daily at the time. When he enlisted in the army rations just couldn't satisfy him. Often, he would sneak out at night and search for offal in the garbage and the gutters. He was hospitalized, doctors trying to find a cure, but at night he would raid the morgue. Scientists, unable to stop his ability to eat almost anything, began to study it. They'd feed him such random things as eels. He'd swallow whole, lizards, a kitten and puppies, all of which he ate alive. When a 14-month-old baby disappeared, he was chased from the hospital by an angry mob. He later died of tuberculosis. In 1844, there was a case of hysteria in a French convent of nuns. One started meowing, and after a week all the nuns were meowing harmoniously in the afternoons. It didn't stop until neighbors called soldiers. There was a similar happening in Germany. The entire population of the village danced and partied themselves to death. After getting stung by a cone snail, you don't feel the sting for a little bit. There is no antivenin and it can be lethal. Treatment is basically keeping the victim alive until the venom wears off. That's just like the blue-ringed octopus. There is a rare genetic disease called fatal familial insomnia where over the course of months you literally cannot go or be put to sleep no matter what you take or what you do. The symptoms get progressively worse until finally you stay awake watching yourself go insane until you die from exhaustion. The island of Okunoshima in the inland sea of Japan is known for two reputable things. 1. It's named Rabbit Island because of the overabundance of wild rabbits, and 2. The island has World War II ruins of a chemical weapons factory, creating poison like mustard gas in its attacks on China. So vital was its secrecy to the Japanese government that they tried to wipe its location off maps. I've always wanted to go there. The ratio of blood to mass in a human body peaks before we are 8. A 6-year-old has as much blood in their body as an adult. Anglerfish. When anglerfish mates, the male literally deforms its body and fuses with the female, then they live together for the rest of their lives. Somewhat recently, 2012, scientists discovered over 1,400 new species of bacteria living in the belly button. Everyone's belly button ecology is unique. Add it to the fingerprints and snowflakes list. In that same study, one volunteer's belly button harbored bacteria strands that had only ever been found in soil from Japan where this man has never been. Given your username, I have a feeling you know exactly where the bacteria came from, lol. If you stare at the mirror in the dark long enough, your brain starts to make your eyes see things, usually transforming you or the room into something horrifying, more usually monsters. This is called peripheral fading or the Troxler effect. I wanna try it so bad, but I also don't at the same time. When your organs are taken out of your body for abdominal surgery, they don't get placed back in carefully or specifically. You just put all the organs back in and the body sorts itself out. On top of that, some people are born with a condition called situs inversus, in which all their organs are a mirror image of what is normal. Having this automatically disqualifies you from being in the military. While most parents do what they can to prevent or stop their babies from crying, that's not always the case in Japan. That's because it's a 400-year-old Japanese tradition that if a sumo wrestler can make your baby cry, it means he or she will live a healthy life. During a special ceremony, parents hand over their infants to sumo wrestlers who bounce their precious tots up and down and sometimes even roar in their little faces to get the tears flowing. He's not a baby that cries much, but today he cried a lot for us and we are very happy about it, Mother May Shige said at a 2014 event. I feel like a few 100-pound man screaming in your face would make any baby cry, so that's kind of cheating. Abraham Lincoln's personal guard went out for a drink a few hours before his assassination. He met a man there that was extremely jittery. The man was famed actor John Wilkes Booth. Eyewitnesses said the Booth was tense and wasn't sure he could do it. Nobody knew what he was going to do, but because he was such a famous actor, people helped him to calm his nerves. The personal guard and Booth had a few drinks together and soon left for the theater. Later that same night, Booth assassinated Abraham Lincoln while the personal guard was there on duty. Vlad the Impaler was called that because he killed his enemies by placing them butt first on pointed poles that would slowly skewer them to death. He would also torture people by removing the skin from their legs, coating them in salt, and have goats lick the salt off. The guy was completely fricked. It's an interesting read. Squeezing someone's balls very tightly can have roughly the same effect as using an epinephrine pen. Don't try this please, it will be very painful. Patients undergoing colonoscopies are most commonly put under conscious sedation, meaning the anesthetic doesn't actually numb pain or even send you unconscious. They just impair your ability to form memories. You are awake and aware of the pain, you just don't remember. Female mummies in ancient Egypt were always more decomposed than their male counterparts. They discovered that this was because male bodies were embalmed a lot sooner than female bodies. Female bodies were kept at the family home until they started to decompose in order to avoid necrophilia at the embalmers. Amazing fact, gross fact. You could be killed instantly by a brain hemorrhage and have no warning signs prior. 1 second you're perfectly fine, and the next you're dead. I hate this one. It unsettles me every time I read it. You have a bunch of microscopic parasites called demodex on your eyelashes and in the pores on your face. They come out at night to lay eggs on and eat the oils on your face. During the Victorian era, it was not uncommon for families to take pictures with recently deceased relatives. This was done as one final moment with that person to honor them. We actually have some old family pictures like that. My dad told me that usually old pictures of people are not perfectly clear because people would still move a little bit during the time it took to take the photo, but if someone appears very clearly, that is, they were sitting perfectly still, that might very likely be because they were dead when the photo was taken. Creeped me out for sure. While filming the movie The Exorcist, many actors got injured, the set burned down, a priest was brought in several times to bless the set, and the actor who played Burke, Jack McGowan, died of influenza. Just so you guys know, The Exorcist, a supernatural horror film directed by William Friedkin, was based on the 1971 novel of the same name by William Peter Blatty, which was in turn inspired by the exorcism case of Rolando, a pseudonym given to the victim by the Catholic Church. The 1973 film portrays the demonic possession of a 12-year-old girl. The story revolves around how the mother of the child attempts to seek normalcy in her daughter's life with the help of two priests who conduct exorcism. From its onset, the film went through troubled waters. Prestigious directors not only turned down the film, but ominous events surrounded the year-long shoot. Nearly 9 people died who were associated with the production of the film, and a mysterious fire destroyed the set one weekend. People started to believe that the project itself were cursed. A priest was brought in several times on the set to bless the film, its actors and the project. However, as if all the tragedies during the filmmaking process were not enough, that just after the work was wrapped up, the actor who played Burke in the film died of influenza. Heard that a guy that played one of the medical technician in the movie turned out to be a serial killer. Don't remember where I heard that, so I don't know if it's true. The RMS Titanic's sister ship, the HMHS Britannic, hit a mine and sank. The captain decided to hold the lowering of the lifeboats and try to beach the ship on nearby Key Island. He eventually ordered for the lifeboats to be lowered and stopped the ship's engines. However, before the order was given, a couple of lifeboats were launched while the ship was still moving. Some of these lifeboats on the port side moved towards the propellers, and what resulted was a bit of a blender situation, ultimately killing 30 people. This is a very basic description of what happened, so I'm sorry if any of this is wrong. On the plus side, the propeller was very sorry for it, and he's taking classes to start a new career as well. Scientists who study cockroaches usually develop an allergy to them. At the same time, they develop an allergy to pre-ground coffee. I hear they also developed an allergy to chocolate. The armpit is where all your important nerves in your arm, so if you stab it you can't really use your arm. Postpartum depression psychosis can show up in a new mother virtually overnight. It can make them hallucinate or go into psychosis, making them think their baby is a demon or the Antichrist, for example. New mothers kill their own children because of postpartum depression psychosis more often than you might like to think. The more the mother knows it's a possibility, the better she'll be able to combat it if it arrives. Mine got so bad that I thought I needed to kill all my kids as a mercy killing and then kill myself so the world couldn't hurt us anymore. It's been 5 years and I still feel horribly guilty. I got help and no one was harmed. When CNN first signed on in 1980, they recorded a band playing a hymn that they were meant to play at the end of the world. It was hidden from the public for 35 years. With everything going on, I'm just waiting for it to happen this year. That butterflies are attracted to sweat, pee, poop, blood and dead things. Don't be frightened and or swat them away. It's called puddling and they're doing it to get salts and amino acids, nutrients that they wouldn't get from flowers. You'll be quite delighted to know this happens mostly during mating season. So, if a butterfly lands on you, it's because you're an aphrodisiac and their version of Viagra. Enjoy the butterfly kisses. The face used on first aid training dummies was made using a cast from the corpse of a dead girl found floating down a river in France. In the average person's life, they will walk past at least 10 murderers in their lifetime and walk past at least 50 sex offenders. That includes rapists and child predators. Don't know if I worded all of this right. PFFFFT, those are rookie numbers in Florida. Every 30 minutes apparently, your body creates a new cancer cell. However, your immune system is usually good enough to catch this cell and kill it before it spreads. Which means in the next 30 minutes or so, your immune system may slip up, and you will get cancer. Thanks, I hate it. Kuru is a disease caused by cannibalism, and symptoms include tremors, outburst of uncontrollable laughter, and slow loss of coordination till death. Prion diseases are terrifying. This is less a fact and more just logic, but any horrible, embarrassing, weird, unlikely death you can imagine potentially befalling a person has almost certainly happened to at least one person, and there were probably a ton of people whose last thoughts were, "This is how I die? You've got to be kidding." Imagine dying because an eagle thought your gate was a rock and decided to throw a turtle on you. The Panama Paper posted a very detailed document about how the rich are part of an enormous crime ring, and all that came of it was the journalist was murdered. Only 9% of the ocean has been explored, and that there are creatures that we would think of as aliens living deep, deep down. People say it's creepy that I owe now this, but the age of consent is regulated at a state level and it's closer to 15 than 18 in most places. 15 with parental consent, which itself is creepy. This couple went on a walk in the woods at night and stepped on something weird, kinda like skin. They heard a rustle in the bushes and left. A couple years later, they're watching the arrest of Ted Bundy and confessions. He said the time he got closest to getting caught is right after he murdered somebody in the woods when a couple stepped on the body. Hey, I think I've heard this in a horror narration on YouTube. Jeffrey Dahmer would pour boiling water or hydrochloric acid into a drilled hole in the skull of his victims to damage the brain just enough so he could try to make a perfectly submissive sex slave. One of his victims, who was a 14-year-old boy, escaped naked and very disoriented, was found by the cops, but Dahmer found him and was so convincing that he managed to make the cops believe that the 14-year-old was just his drunk partner, and they let him go. Paranoia. A mental condition where you think the world is out to better your life. Phantom agents trying to make you more successful. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.